The Love Song Podcast, Love Song Media Production. I'm T Love. Welcome into today's special July 4th episode. Before we begin, I want to give some love out to my sponsor, Shirts and More, located at 2517 Jacob Street in Wheeling, West Virginia. Shirts and More has been a family-owned business for over 40 years, and they have been providing the best and most professional garments on the market. Let Tracy, Braxton, Dana, or any of the friendly staff at Shirts and More help you with your next apparel need. You can contact them directly at 304-232-2030. I appreciate all the love that they give T Love for his podcast. I could not do this without them for sure. Today's episode is a special episode, episode 36, America, 250 years. Today marks the 250th anniversary of the United States, commemorating the adoption of the Declaration of Independence. Nationwide celebrations spanned official events, including massive fireworks displays, the Sail Forth 250 parade of the tall ships in New York, and the national salute to America on the National Mall in Washington, D.C. I'm a proud American. I grew up with two grandfathers who served in Korea in World War II. One was a Democrat, the other was a Republican. A time where family, country, love thy neighbor, and God meant something. A time where your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, even the neighbors had permission to spank your behind if you acted stupid or disrespectful. A time where you said the Lord's Prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag each morning before school started. A time where you gathered at Grandma's house every Sunday for food, family, and front yard football with your cousins and neighbors. A time before the internet, before cell phones, and before the viral stupidity became a fad. A time of wholesome values, morals, and principles about life and family, and to treat others. A time where pastors would preach the Word of God, not the word to fit a political party or a political moment. Yeah, to me, those were the good old days. Now we live in a time full of stupid moments, or hold my beer moments. A time where criminals are cheered and good people are mocked. A time where basically good is bad and bad is good. A time where truth is censored while lies and misinformation are promoted like they were the gospel. A time where everything is instant and quick. A time that has ushered an information highway that can be accessed or even hacked into sometimes to get information just by clicking a button. While the technology and information has some very good uses, it also has ushered in the sick, twisted, evil, and demonic side of our society as well. This information overload era we live in has also ushered in another element. The element of independent journalism and investigations. Someone like me who can sit down in front of my computer, type in a subject, and spend hours deep diving into facts. The facts that our government and global elitists don't want me, you, or anyone else looking into, much less find. Oh, you thought freedom was free, huh? Yeah. You thought the textbooks in your schools told you the truth about the domestic and global conflicts. You thought the media was reporting the facts. Yeah, I was once one of those people. I was one of those people for a long, long time. But then one slip-up caused me to go into full Inspector Gadget mode and take a long look into the people of this planet that are famous, powerful, protected, and rich rich. As I dove into the Epstein saga, I found myself being pulled into 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 different rabbit holes. Every night I would spend 4 to 5 hours looking, and the more I looked, the more I found. The lies, the cover-ups, the compromise, the destruction. Everything that I had learned in that simple era of time that I grew up in was beginning to unravel before my very eyes. I'm not too proud to tell you that as a man and as an American that I found myself scared, hurt. It even made me cry. Looking back on the last 250 years of America, here are just a few samples of what I have found the United States government has lied to the American people about. The real reason behind President Abraham Lincoln's assassination. The Federal Reserve and how it came to be and why. World War I and the true reason the United States got involved in it. World War II, again, the real reasons that the United States got involved in it. Israel being constructed by the U.S. and European elites right in the middle of World War II and President Harry S. Truman's direct involvement. As someone of Native American descent, the Indian Wars. How and why the U.S. murdered and stole the Native American and indigenous people's land. The Mexican-American War. The Korean War, Vietnam War, Gulf War, Iraq War, Afghan War, the current Iran War, or the conflicts in Sudan, Libya, Syria, Somalia, or the Venezuela invasion, or the Cuban conflict that we seem to have forever. You remember Operation Northwoods, right? That's the only provable document to how sick and twisted the United States government will be even to its own citizens. A document that proved they were going to attack us and blame it on a foreign country. The WMDs in Iraq. The real story behind 9/11. That if you do a dive into this, all you have to just type in the 5 dancing Israelis. That alone blows up the 9/11 narrative. The 2020 election and its cover-up. The real story behind J6 and the cover-up. The COVID and vaccine push, where money and population control seem to be the narrative behind both, and the other truths and cover-up behind those. The fact that in 250 years as a nation we have been in 235 wars or conflicts. We have attacked every single country who posed a threat to the United States, except for one. On June the 8th, 1967, the USS Liberty was attacked by a foreign country, and we did not blow them off this map. That country used napalm from the air as they dropped it down on the ship, burning our sailors alive. They used torpedo boats to send torpedoes into the side of the ship. 34 dead. 171 injured. And the United States did not retaliate. That country that attacked the USS Liberty was Israel. Let's not also forget about the lack of shared Israeli intelligence that led to the Beirut, Lebanon attacks back in 1983 that killed 241 American service members, most of them Marines. Or our own U.S. government crowning David Ben-Gurion as the first prime minister of Israel after he led the massacre on Deir Yassin, which is a village right outside of Jerusalem, a month before Israel became a nation. The politicians who have gotten rich being politicians, they've done so by breaking the laws and changing those laws to protect themselves and their lobbyists, special interest groups, NGO partners, and the super PACs that control the citizens they are supposed to serve and protect. Even passing the 17th Amendment to bypass the will of the people of the states, so the government could have two bodies representing the government as a whole rather than we the people. That's a very interesting subject that I'm going to hit on pretty soon. Learning that our tax dollars are flowing legally through NGOs and special interest and different lobbying agencies that go on Capitol Hill, it is flowing right into the hands of the various very terrorist groups that we're supposed to hate and destroy. The real story behind the JFK assassination and the cover-up some 60 years later. The real story behind the Charlie Kirk assassination and the cover-up. It's got ties back to Israel, just like JFK does. The real story behind the Oklahoma City bombing and its cover-up. And finally, the Epstein saga. You know, where the people on the left claim it's being covered up by Donald J. Trump because he is a pedophile and because the politicians and the media have brainwashed them to believe that Donald Trump is the villain here. Is he a villain? Very well could be. But in looking at about 10,000 of those Epstein files myself, I also have learned that Orange Man ain't the only person that's a villain here. It goes deeper than one man. And for you, as an American, to be brainwashed to believe that one man is at the center of a global pedophile ring speaks to how weak-minded you truly are. Because Bush 41 is in there. We all know Clinton's in there. The records show everyone knew what was going on dating back to Bush 41. The legal trail started under Bush 43. Well, there's a problem. That's a conflict of interest, isn't it? Bush 43 definitely can't do anything about it, or if he does, he's going to throw his daddy under the bus. Have you ever noticed that the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, and the Bidens, they kind of all run in the same circle? They show up to the same events. They give each other homage. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's because they're all part of the lies and the cover-ups. But this Epstein saga travels through. I've gone back to Bush 41, definitely Clinton, Bush 43, Obama, then Trump, then Biden, now Trump again. You're talking 7 presidents. But let's blame the Orange Man. He's the boogeyman. The Epstein saga is about the ultra-rich and powerful people of this planet and how sick and evil they truly are. While the American politicians have divided you on issues like political lines and racial lines and gender lines and economic lines and social lines and religious lines and patriotism versus all this other crap, as well as your parental lines. They've got people divided upon whether they're a boy or girl. Let me give you a real good idea how to check that out. Go to the bathroom, pull your britches down, look down. If you got a stem, you're a boy. If you don't have a stem, you're a girl. That's how it works. You don't need biology. You don't need medical. You just need a pair of eyes. If you're blind, you just need a hand. You can just reach down. If you feel a stem, you're a boy. If you don't feel a stem, you're a girl. That's common sense. In 250 years, we have gone from being one nation under God in a liberated republic to today we are one nation without God. What are you talking about? You are free to pray and worship any religious idol you choose, but you cannot publicly pay tribute to Yahweh. They will persecute you for that. You will be arrested. You can be fired. Schools are not allowed to pray before football games or before any sporting events. You're not allowed to pray before school. We did that every day. We prayed before school. We prayed at practice. We prayed at sporting events. We pledge allegiance to the flag. But in the United States of America, 250 years later, you can't do that. That's against the law. But you can pray to Allah. You can pray to Muhammad. There are school districts in this country that are putting foot washing stations in for their Islamic students so that their religious faith can be more felt. But you can't pray to God. You can't have a religious club in school. I just did an episode earlier this week where you can have a anti-God club, a pro-Palestine club. That's where we are. You can't punish your children without being arrested for child abuse. You can't protect your sovereign borders without being called a Nazi or xenophobic. You can't, as a parent, speak out against a tyrannical and evil school board wanting to brainwash your kids with sexism and genderism without being arrested by the government for domestic terrorism. Laws are being passed to defund the police and soften punishment on criminals. Lawmakers are getting filthy rich doing what everyday citizens are being sent to jail or prison for. The academia, pardon me, the academia was controlled by a foreign Mossad agent at one time and is being controlled by the global elitists to this day. The economy is controlled by the same global elitist. Israel is the nation of God, yet they hosted the largest LGBTQ event in the Middle Eastern's history on top of the very grounds where Sodom and Gomorrah was held just last month. A nation where the media helps cover up the truths about our government and the government officials going so far as to fire their employees for trying to get the truth out of there to the American people. Edward Snowden comes to mind. Tucker Carlson comes to mind. I could go on and on and on of the people who were fired or persecuted and almost put in jail. Remember, Obama tried to put Snowden in jail for getting the truth out. But he is looked at as a messiah. He's just as evil as Trump. Trump is just as evil as Obama. They're all part of the same pot. And for you to pick a side and say one is worse than another, I used to be that person, I get it. But the more you educate yourself on just how terrible our political people are, and there's no end to what they will do to us as Americans, to strip us of our rights. You can talk about all the rights you want that Trump is invading, while Trump himself had his rights invaded upon. I've bashed Trump to no end. I'm not, It is what it is. Facebook, Twitter kicked him off of their platforms. But yet they have terrorists from across this globe that are using their platforms. Can you imagine a world where you will kick off a sitting, ousted U.S. president off of your social media platforms, but you will allow a terrorist to use your platform to promote their insanity? It is nuts. While I am a proud American, I can't stand the mafia-like regime that we have become. Americans take sides and accuse the other side of doing what they themselves are supporting on their side of the aisle. You bash Trump for corruption, but history shows corruption is how this country was built and gained all of its power. The secret meetings, murder, wars, suicides, and the most evil and vile behaviors on this planet. But because your side's representatives do it in the dark instead of in the light, somehow they are better for our society. No. In 250 years, we have gone from a proud, strong, free country to we are now letting socialism and communism not only be talked about openly, but we are now electing it into our cities and our states. We have individuals who were not born in this country being elected into office. Our system does not allow anyone to serve as president unless you were born in the United States. And I, as an American, don't believe that you should be allowed to serve in any office if you weren't born here in the United States, whether that be federal, state, or local. If you weren't born here, you don't have a right to serve here. In 1838, a 28-year-old Abraham Lincoln argued that no foreign army could ever conquer the United States. He warned that the greatest threat to American freedom was domestic, stemming from mob rule, a breakdown of the rule of law, and the loss of civic trust. He concluded with the famous thought, "If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher." Chills. And after 250 years, we are about to make President Lincoln the most prophetic man since Jesus. I hope you and your family have a wonderful, happy, safe 4th of July. This land is not lost. It's just confused. But we have to come back together as a united States of America and stop being a divided States of America. God bless you. Until I see you on the next episode. Take care.